Okay, I want to talk about the misuse, the criminals at the top, the criminals, that's right. The criminals in your courthouse, the criminals in your state governments, the criminals in your federal government, okay? And property taxes. The misuse of property taxes. See, property taxes was originally designed as this is what they tell you. This is what you'll be told if you question why do we have property tax. Because property tax is the land that your home sits on. And that you could never really own this land. You have to pay taxes on it because the taxes from your buildings, downtown commercial buildings, family homes, okay, that sit on this land. They all sit on land. We all know that every building on existence sits on land. So they call it property taxes, the land. And that you always pay taxes on that land. So if you buy a vacant lot, or if you buy 5 acres of land that has absolutely nothing on it, it's just land, you will still have to pay taxes on that land every year. Whether if it's out in the country, out in the middle of nowhere, or in town. You will pay taxes on that land every year. And if you don't pay the taxes on this land every year, then some thugs with badges and guns will show up that's been sent there by some other criminal at the top, and they will take your land from you. Now, the excuse for what they used the money for property taxes is actually a legit excuse. I can go along with it and agree with it because of the fact that you got a fire department, okay, and if your house catches on fire, you'd like these people to show up with their trucks and put out the fire, right? Okay. You got road construction and roads that need to be maintained or built or added and put in, okay, that are considered public roadways, or roads, or streets, okay? You have a police department, which is now not for the people, that's for corporations. They're great order followers of criminals. They're nothing more than revenue collectors nowadays, thugs with badges, okay? See, these entities get their money from property taxes. Okay, and I'm sure there's a whole other list. I think the education and the public school system, some of this money goes there, and I think there's other fundings for the education. I'm not going to go into great detail on that part of it, okay? But I think you get the gist of what I'm telling you, okay? So this is the reason you'll have property tax, and you must pay your property tax to keep what you buy that you supposedly own. But the understanding has always been it's on the land. And depending on what states you roll into in the divided states of America, because it's not the united, you better understand this. It is the divided, they lied to you, it's upside down on its head. It's not united, it's divided. Because every state's laws, through their government in that state, through the mind control, through the criminals in that state, vary, okay, to what they're going to use this money for. But overall, the gist of it is it pays for your roadways, the repair to your roadways that you're using to drive your vehicles on. Okay, it pays the salaries of fire departments or firefighters that put out the fire in your house or your garage or whatever. And it pays for the cops, law enforcement. That's where they're getting their money from. Now you think about all the commercial buildings you have and all the homes you have sitting on land. And every bit of that land is divided off to the owner of this building, the owner of that building, the owner of this house, the owner of that, the owner of this, the owner of that. Pays this set amount every year. And if it gets into an area where it's closer to the water, if you lived in Florida or California or Texas, the closer to the water you are, the higher the property tax is. That's right. Okay, the higher the price of the property is. Okay, If you go up into the mountains and it gets closer to blah, 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 then the higher the price is. The further out in the middle of nowhere in a desolate land like Nebraska might be the lower the price is because nobody lives there. There's nothing around there. Maybe you're driving miles to get to your local grocery store or whatever. So then the price comes down on your land, okay? If you're in Florida, the further away from the water you are, the price comes down a lot, but it comes down a little bit, okay? So this is property taxes, right? That pays for our infrastructure, right? Our roads and so on that I've just talked about. Okay, I can agree with that because where else would this money come from for the repairs for your roads, to build your roads? If your house caught on fire, your garage caught on fire, whatever. Fire department, these men come out and spend hours putting out the place. Putting out the fire, protecting other people's property from being burned down with it. Okay? So I can agree with this, okay? To the extent of what it's being used for. But then we have the abuse of your property taxes. Criminals. That's just criminal behavior, totally. And the ignorance of people to not realize when these people have gone too far, and now they're being criminals. And then you're complying. You're complying. You're going along with it. Now you're probably wondering why I got pictures of lumber up here. So I'm going to give you an example, okay? So suppose you went down to Home Depot or your local lumber yard in your town or Menards or Lowe's, okay? And you bought yourself some lumber. Some lumber. See? So that you could build a house. So you bought this. When you purchased this lumber, you paid whatever it was going to cost you for however much lumber you bought, what kind of lumber you were buying, your supplies. Because let's say you went out and bought a lot or a piece of land with 5 acres on it, whatever, and it had nothing on it. Let's say you paid a company to come in and drill you out a water well, and you bought a pump and stuff so that you could put water to your home, and then you brought in a bobcat, brought in your stuff, and and you dug up your land and you put in a septic tank in and you made your leach field for the septic tank and blah, 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 on, and run your drainage lines in. Let's say you wanted to live off the grid and you went and got yourself a bunch of solar panels and blah, 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 whatever you want to do, okay, for your electricity. And you purchased all this stuff out of your own money that you've worked for, that you've earned. When you bought these items, like this lumber here, okay, you paid taxes on it at the cash register when you purchased it. Because there's taxes on this stuff. This taxes goes right back to where? Okay, to government, okay? So you paid the taxes on this already, okay? So my question to you is this. Do you suppose if you bought a pallet of lumber here, you bought a pallet of this, okay, that looks like what, a 2x8, 2x4, I know 2x4 is probably a 2x8. That'd be my guess is it's a 2x8. I don't have a measure on it, but there you are. Okay, I would say a 2x8. Right there, times 8. 8 foot. Okay, but even if it's 2x12, 2x8, whatever, right? And you got some 4x4s here, and you got some 2x4s, and you come up onto your land now, and you purchase this land that you're going to pay property taxes on every year. And you take all the lumber you purchased and pay taxes on already, okay? So you own this, right? Because you bought this lumber. I mean, if you bought this lumber and you didn't do anything with it right away, would you pay property taxes on this lumber? If you didn't necessarily bought the lumber, you bought the land, but you didn't build the house right away. Let's just say you stored the lumber. And you kept buying more lumber as you could and stored it. And then you bought your counters and your drywall and your plywood and your siding and whatever you were going to need to build your home, right? And you kept storing it and storing it and storing it until you got enough supplies together over time to build your house. During the time you did all that, you paid the property taxes on your land when it came due. That's right. But you didn't pay, let's say the entire time you were doing this, you lived in an efficiency apartment or a motel room or whatever you chose to live in, or you were living in a camper on your land, okay? As long as you paid your property taxes once a year, there was no big deal, right? And you'd buy all your supplies to build your home and you would own it, right? You wouldn't have to pay taxes on your lumber at the end of the year. No, you wouldn't neither. You sure wouldn't. Okay. Now, you finally got everything you need to build your house. So you need to build your house. So let's say you have the skills to build your own home. Let's say you've already bought the stuff and you've already used the stuff to and rented the equipment you needed. Put in your leach field and your septic tank and drew and hired a company to come out and drill the well and drilled the well and made yourself a little pump house or what have you, and you purchased the pump and you run your own lines and you laid your foundation, your concrete, and you got it all settled up and ready to build. And now you start in construction and you're building your home, right? So you built your home on your land. Now, you know your land you have to pay taxes on every year, right? Because we already talked about that. We agree with that, right? Depending on where you're at and what state you are. Did you know that this is where you're going to get, this is where ignorance comes in. This is where you have allowed the people controlling you to scam you, to steal from you. That's right. Or they will take away from you. No lie. Okay? So here we go. You've built your home. Okay, from the supplies, maybe you spent 5 years buying your supplies to build your home and storing them during the 5 years, or maybe you spent a decade, or during the decade, the 10 years, that you bought your supplies, you paid taxes at the cash register when you purchased them, and you stored them and you stored them and you didn't pay taxes on them supplies. No, that lumber, that wiring, that copper tubing for your plumbing, if that's what you're going to use, okay, the drywall, the sheets of plywood, all of this you purchased, you paid taxes on when you purchased it, right? Right. Your windows, to everything that you got, right, to build your home. Now you go and you use your own labor, your own skills, and you take your supplies and you start building your home. Okay? You get your home completely built. You're done. You've bought your carpet, you've bought your everything, and you're done. You got your finished product. Okay? And you're happy with what you've done. And now you move out of your camper that you're living on your land or your motel room. And you now occupy your new home that you just built on your land. Every year you're going to pay your property taxes, right? And let's say you've been paying a set amount of dollars. Let's say you were paying $2,000 a year or $1,500 a year for your 5 acres of land. Now, I'm not saying this is so. I'm just throwing a number at you, okay? That says you purchased it, right? Now that your home is completely built, you go down to pay your taxes. And because you had to file for permission to build your home on your land, yeah, you did. You had to get approval, even if you did it yourself. You had to get permission from your owners. And you had to pay them money for a piece of paper that says, I have a permit. I have permission to build my house on what I worked and earned. Okay? So you took your lumber they didn't charge you taxes on, you built your home, right? You put your drywall and you finished it, you did all the work, you got it done, right? Toilet sinks, the 9 yards, you moved in. You go down, you've been spending, let's say, $1,500 a year on your property taxes. Now suddenly your property taxes went up to $4,500. You're going, what the hell? Well, see, you added a house. That's right. And then you say, now hold on a minute. I bought the supplies myself over a decade. I paid taxes on them when I purchased the product, the wood, the drywall mud, the lumber, the everything, your supplies. I've already paid taxes on this. I built this with my own hands, my own labor. You didn't build it. You had nothing to do with it. You didn't buy the supplies. You had nothing to do with it. But here's my $1,500 I've been paying you for my land. And they say, no, you owe us $4,500. Why do you owe them $4,500? Oh, well, because you added a house. Do you know where I'm going here? Do you understand this is what they've done to us? Why are you giving them that money? Did you not already pay taxes on that when you purchased it? Yes, you did. Oh, yes, you did. Did you not do the labor yourself and build this house yourself? Yes, you did. Oh, yeah. And even if you didn't do the labor yourself and you hired a contractor to come in and take your supplies and build it for you, okay, then you paid that contractor to do it, okay, out of your money that you earned, that you worked for, right? Okay. I didn't say you stole. I said you worked you worked your tail off, right? Okay. And even if you built your own home on that land, this is what they're going to do to you. They're going to tell you you owe them money for something you've already paid taxes on, that they had nothing to do with. They never owned it to begin with. You bought that. You paid the taxes on it when you purchased it. You sure did. Because you got a skill saw out, and you got yourself a router out, you got yourself the tools out, and you cut that wood and measured that wood and routed that wood, and you built your own home, okay? And you took your copper tubing, okay, or whatever you're going to use, your PVC or your whatever you're going to use to plumb your home, and you plumbed your own home and you run your own wiring. But remember, you had to get permission. You couldn't wire your own house without permission, or they'd make you hire a contractor to come in to wire it. That's right. Because I'm sorry, I'm not going to give you permission. I'm your owner. And I'm telling you right now that you're not allowed to run your own wiring in your own home because you have to have a special permission. You have to have a license, You have to have our education system that we charged you for to teach you how to do it the way we want you to do it. So you might get along the way as you're building your own home and have to hire somebody to come in to do some of it, right? It doesn't matter. The point of the matter is you're going to first pay your owner permission to have a piece of paper for permission. And then as you go through your steps, you're going to get stopped. You sure are. Let's say you framed it. Well, when you're done with the framing, you stop. You can't close the walls. You can't add the plumbing. You can't do anything. They have to send somebody out and you got to pay them money to inspect your framing. How you cut the wood, how you put it together, how you nailed it together, screwed it together, blah, 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 blah. And you have to meet their rules. Or they'll make you tear it down and start all over. They sure will. See, just like this staircase. The step up onto the staircase is only allowed to be so high. Can't be too short, can't be too high. They've decided exactly how high up you're going to lift your leg to step on that step. To the next step, to the next step, to the next step. They sure have. They've decided that for you. You're not allowed to decide that for yourself. Nope, you sure aren't. Now you plumbed it, you put in your drain lines. Now you got to cap all your drain lines off and you got to fill them with water. And then they send in, you got to pay again for another person to come out and look at your drain lines and see that they're standing full of water. Now that your drain lines are standing full of water, they'll pass you. Okay, you passed. They leave. Now you can take your caps off your drain lines and hook them up. No lie, this is exactly how it works, okay? You run your water lines. You got to meet, once again, you got to meet their conditions. You sure do. You got to use this set of faucets. You can't just pick out whatever faucet you want for a bathtub with a shower. You sure do. And you get it all plumbed again, and once again, you can't turn on the water, even if you have your own well. You're not allowed to fire up that pump, but for testing purposes only, until the inspector comes out and inspects it. Of course, once again, depending on what state you're in. Right. In the divided states of America. Okay. So now you got through that step. Now you want to do your drywall. You want to close up your walls. Got your electric in. Okay. You're going to probably hire a contractor to come and do that. Well, you can't close up your walls. You know why? You'll be waiting on your electric contractor, most likely, to have an inspector come and inspect that too before you can close the walls up. And you have to pay for that too, of course, you know. Your owners, now you get it all closed up. You finally got the inspections done. You closed it all up. Then you got your other inspectors to come in and look at the finished product. And they have to sign it off too, you know, your owners. Okay, so you went through all this stuff and you bought your lumber. You built your home. You're proud of yourself, right? Until you went down to pay taxes. And you discovered that your taxes went up because you put a house on your property. Then you put a garage on your property and your taxes went up some more. So you are literally paying 2 times. You're paying taxes for the purchase of the lumber. Then you're going to, and the products that you buy, the wiring, the plumbing, you know, everything you bought, you've already paid taxes on when you bought it. You should own it. You shouldn't be paying taxes on it again. But now because you put it together and got your house built, they're going to tell you, you pay taxes on this home every year or we're going to take it away from you. And you are going to be an idiot and comply. Matter of fact, let's say you built the home and you decide, I don't like my location, so I'm going to jack up my house and I'm going to pay a company to come and move my house over to this new lot that I bought over here. Once again, you got to get their permission to do that. That's right, you got to get your owner's permission. And they may tell you no. Can you imagine this? You bought all these supplies and stored them until you had it all together. You did the majority of all the work yourself. You cut the wood, you routed the wood, you did all the work. You installed the counters, built your own cabinets, installed your own cabinets, installed your own counters. That's right. You did all the labor yourself. You spent years buying the supplies that you did not pay taxes on once you purchased it. Now that you put your house together, somebody else magically come up and said, pay me taxes on this or I own it, or I'm taking it from you. And you allowed that, huh? See, I'm a smart ass. I would say, here's your $1,500 that I've been paying for my property taxes every year. They say, no, it's $4,500. Say, no, it's $1,500. They say, no, it's $45 because you added a house. I say, no, I purchased the house and supplies for the last 10 years and I paid the taxes on the stuff when I purchased it. I owned it. I'm not paying you taxes again for something that I've already paid taxes on. And then they're going to say, well, no, because you built a house. We own it. No, you don't own it. This is my point. My point is simple. We have allowed the mafia, the syndicate, the mob to come into your life and steal from you. And you know nothing about it. You comply. You keep paying them. And you wonder why you're in the shape you are. I don't know why when they didn't say, okay, George, I want you to drop your pants and bend over and lube it. I don't give a shit if you're not attracted to me or not. I'm your owner. You will drop your pants and lube it. Are you going to comply with that too? I would sure hope not. Okay? Do you follow where I'm going here? Do you know what they've done? Do you realize this is complete thievery? I'm just waiting for them next to decide to tell you that we own your washer and your dryer and your refrigerator and your stove and your TV set, and you will pay taxes to us every single year for these things. And you have to fill out a form at the store that they got a receipt to what you purchased and sign it saying, yes, I bought this. And then when you go down and pay your taxes, oh, they went up again. Why? Because now they own your washer and your dryer and your refrigerator and your stove. You think I'm being ridiculous? No, I'm not. You sat back already and allowed them to steal from you. See, here in Minnesota, even a mobile home and a mobile home trailer park, they're telling you have to pay them property taxes on that mobile home. Even if that mobile home is 30 years old and wore out, ain't worth shit, they're going to tell you you have to pay them taxes on something they don't own. That you probably already paid taxes on with the purchase. That you know you paid taxes on your home when you built it, especially if you've done it the way I just told you in this long drawn out video. But you're going to go ahead and pay them taxes on that, huh? Why would you? What, are you out of your fucking mind? See, this is what happens when you don't stand up for yourself. And you allow criminals to control you. To run your life. See, you paid taxes on your lumber twice now. You sure did. As long as you've done nothing with that lumber and that wiring and that copper and that tubing and it sat there in your storage, you would have never been charged taxes. You could have kept it for the next 50 years and never paid taxes. You own it. But the minute you got out your saw, your router, and your hammer, and your drill, and you constructed your home, your garage, your shop, your shed. That's right, your shed. These criminals now stepped in and said, you're going to pay me taxes on what you've already paid taxes for, or we're going to send our thugs with badges and guns down to take it away from you. You're not allowed to move what you purchased off this property and put it on another piece of property that you purchased unless we give you permission to. You know why? Because you're in the land of the free. That's right. Because you're in the land of the free. So welcome to the real truth, cowards, slaves. It's what every one of you are. Because you don't stand up for yourself. See, on a massive scale, people need to be standing up for themselves and saying, fuck you, and fuck you, and fuck you some more. They need to be practicing non-compliance. And for the people working down here in your courthouses, or at your tax office. They're collecting this money. You're perfect little sheeple, ain't you? You're perfect little order followers. You're criminals yourself because you're going along with. You're complying with. And you're forcing their rules onto somebody else for your monetary gain. And do you think you're going to be above that rule if you go out and buy your own land and buy your own supplies and it takes you 10, 15, 20 years to get it all together and you build your own home? Do you think even if you purchase that land and you're paying the property taxes on it every year, do you think you're going to be above that rule? No. Once you're done building your home, you're going to what? Drop your pants and bend over for them? You're going to give up ownership of what you've already paid for? And you're going to pay them taxes on something you've already paid taxes for? So you're going to do double jeopardy, huh? You're going to pay them taxes on something you already paid taxes for. And then you're going to continue to pay them taxes on that every single year, huh? Even though they had nothing to do with the purchase of the lumber, nothing to do with the labor put into putting it together. They had nothing to do with nothing. They didn't own it to begin with. But now, because you went to your owner and got their permission, see, you're not free. You're enslaved. Because you've allowed yourself to be, and they're stealing from you every day, and you're too damn stupid to know it, and it's sad, isn't it? See, I agree with property taxes as far as the land. Where would the money come from to build the roads? That's right. To pay for the fire departments and so on, so on. I agree that's a justified reason. But you see how we started off with something that was justified? And how we kept adding to it and adding to it and adding to it until it became complete corruption. And then the ignorance of the people that are too scared to stand up for themselves just keep going along and going along. So I hope you enjoy being slaves. And the next time you go down to the courthouse or your tax office, just get the lube out and drop them and bend over for them, okay? Because you're not going to stand up for yourself. And if you are going to stand up for yourself, you're going to say, this is how much I paid for my property taxes before I added my house and my garage and my shed. And this is how much I'm paying every year. My house, my garage, and my shed. I bought the lumber, paid for the lumber, paid the taxes on the lumber, built it out of my own labor. You don't own it. You have nothing to do with it. I pay you the taxes on my land. So I can put whatever I want on my land without your consent. And as far as going down and getting their permission, show them. Give them your permission slip. You know that middle finger you have? Anyhow, never mind. I already know you're not going to do that because most of you are cowards, right? So here we are in America, in the land of the what? In the land of the what? Slaves.